There are days that pass quietly, unnoticed, blending into the rhythm of routine. And then there are days that carry something heavier, something sacred, though they look exactly the same on the outside. On March 29th, Archangel Michael speaks during moments that feel ordinary, but aren't. This message may reveal why today holds meaning. Pause, open, and reflect with care. Today may seem like any other day. You woke up, followed your habits, answered messages, moved through responsibilities. Nothing dramatic announced itself. No thunder cracked across the sky. No visible sign demanded your attention. And yet, in the quiet layers beneath the surface, something is shifting. Something has been set in motion. And if you feel even the slightest pull to listen right now, that is not accidental. There is a divine strategy in how heaven moves. The most powerful interventions rarely arrive with spectacle. Instead, they slip into the unnoticed spaces of your day, the pause between tasks, the thought that lingers longer than usual, the sudden memory that rises without explanation. March 29th is not random. This date carries spiritual weight that cannot be measured by calendars or clocks. What makes this day different is not what you see, but what is happening behind what you see. Archangel Michael does not only appear in moments of crisis or catastrophe. He speaks during transitions. He guards during pivots. He reveals truth in hours that appear uneventful. And today, what appears uneventful may be the very disguise of divine alignment. Have you noticed something subtle? A feeling you cannot quite name. Perhaps a strange mixture of anticipation and stillness. Perhaps a sense that you should slow down, even though the world around you is rushing. That inner nudge is not imagination. It is invitation. March 29th carries an appointed whisper. Not everyone will recognize it. Not everyone will pause long enough to discern it. But those who are sensitive, those who are willing to reflect with care, will sense that this day has been marked. There are moments in history when heaven intersects with earth quietly, without headlines. In your personal life, these intersections may look like ordinary conversations, unexpected delays, or simple realizations. But what if today is a hinge? What if something small that happens within these hours becomes the turning point you only understand later? The danger is not that today lacks meaning. The danger is that it feels too normal to notice. That is why this message is urgent. Because the divine often hides revelation inside routine. And if you rush past it, you may miss what was designed specifically for you. Archangel Michael's presence on March 29th is not about spectacle. It is about positioning, protection, recalibration. There are unseen movements taking place around your life. Decisions forming, doors aligning, obstacles being restrained. You may not perceive the battle, but that does not mean it is absent. You may not hear a loud command, but that does not mean heaven is silent. In fact, the softer the whisper, the more carefully you must lean in. Today is not loud, but it is significant. Why this day? Why now? Because timing in the spiritual realm is precise. There are cycles that close quietly. There are new chapters that begin without announcement. March 29th may represent a spiritual crossing, an invisible line between what was and what will be. You might feel reflective. You might feel slightly unsettled. You might even feel unusually aware of your surroundings. These are not coincidences. These are signals. Signals that something beneath the ordinary surface is being activated. Pause for a moment. Think about the small details already unfolding today. The conversation that seemed random. The thought that returned after weeks of silence. The urge to reconsider something you had dismissed. What if these are fragments of a larger message? Archangel Michael often reveals truth piece by piece, not all at once. He protects not only from visible threats but from missed timing. And today's timing matters. This is why you are being asked to open and reflect with care. Reflection is not passive, it is powerful. It creates space for clarity. It allows subtle guidance to rise above noise. March 29th is not about fear. It is not about dramatic warning. It is about awareness. Sacred awareness. Because when you recognize that a day holds meaning, you treat it differently. You listen more closely. You respond more intentionally. There is something rare about this date. Something that will only be fully understood in hindsight. But right now, in this present moment, you are being positioned to perceive it. Not everyone receives this kind of prompting. Not everyone senses when heaven leans closer. But if you are hearing these words, it is because you were meant to. This day may look ordinary, but it is not. It may feel simple, but it is layered with intention. On March 29th, Archangel Michael speaks during moments that feel ordinary, but aren't. And if you pause long enough, if you quiet your thoughts long enough, if you open your heart with care, you may discover that today is not just another page on the calendar. It is a marker, a turning point wrapped in simplicity, a whisper carrying more weight than noise. And what you choose to do with this awareness will shape what unfolds next. On March 29th, Archangel Michael speaks during moments that feel ordinary, but aren't. And what makes this so profound is not the volume of the message, but the subtlety of it. Heaven does not always interrupt your life with spectacle. More often, it weaves truth into the fabric of your routine. He hides revelation inside the familiar. And today, the whisper may be moving through the smallest details of your day. You may be folding laundry, driving to work, sitting in silence between tasks, answering an email. Nothing dramatic, nothing visibly spiritual. Yet within those ordinary movements, something is stirring. A thought repeats itself. A memory resurfaces. A feeling lingers longer than it should. This is how divine communication often begins, not as a shout, but as a gentle insistence. Archangel Michael is known as a warrior and protector, but he is also a messenger who positions you with precision. And precision rarely feels loud. It feels intentional. Have you noticed how certain moments today feel slightly heightened? As if time slows for a second, as if something invisible brushes against your awareness. That is not coincidence. The spiritual realm does not need grand displays to shift the course of your life. Sometimes all it takes is one realization, one pause, one decision made differently than you would have yesterday. And March 29th carries the potential for that shift. The whisper within the ordinary requires discernment. It asks you to be present. Because distractions multiply when destiny approaches. The noise increases when clarity is near. You may find your mind wandering more than usual today. You may feel small irritations trying to pull your attention away from reflection. That is not random. When a day carries meaning, resistance often disguises itself as busyness. Archangel Michael's presence today may not feel dramatic, but it is strategic. Protection does not always look like rescue. Sometimes it looks like redirection. Sometimes it looks like a delay that frustrates you in the moment but shields you from something unseen. Sometimes it looks like a sudden urge to reach out to someone or to hold back from speaking. These nudges are not accidental impulses. They are guided impressions. The ordinary becomes sacred when you realize heaven is active within it. Think about that. The same kitchen, the same office, the same streets you walk every day. Yet today, there is movement behind the veil. Conversations may carry double meaning. Encounters may hold hidden confirmation. Even silence may be communicating something powerful. The whisper is woven into the mundane so that only the attentive heart will perceive it. This is why awareness matters so deeply right now. Because the enemy of revelation is assumption. The assumption that today is just another date. The assumption that nothing significant could happen in the middle of routine. But history, both personal and spiritual, proves otherwise. Many life-altering moments began disguised as ordinary hours. Perhaps you feel a subtle tension today. Not anxiety exactly, but anticipation. As if something is about to click into place. Or perhaps you feel unusually reflective, drawn to examine your choices, your path, your direction. These are signals. Signals that March 29th is not spiritually empty. It is spiritually layered. And here is where your response becomes crucial. You are not a passive observer in this. You are a participant. The whisper invites you to lean in, to ask deeper questions, to listen before reacting, to choose intention over autopilot. Archangel Michael does not force awareness. He invites it. If this message is resonating with you right now, take a moment to engage with it actively. Like this video as a declaration that you recognize today carries meaning. Share it with someone who may also need to pause and reflect. Comment what you have been sensing today, because your experience could confirm what someone else is quietly feeling. And subscribe to this channel so you remain aligned with prophetic moments like this, when heaven is speaking softly but clearly. When you engage, you are not just interacting with content, you are acknowledging that you are listening. There is power in agreement. There is power in saying, I will not let this day pass unnoticed. Because what feels small now may reveal its magnitude later. The whisper within the ordinary is not random background noise. It is guidance. It is protection. It is preparation. On March 29th, Archangel Michael speaks during moments that feel ordinary, but aren't. And the more you slow your pace internally, the more distinct that whisper becomes. You may begin to notice patterns, repeating words, unexpected confirmations, a sense of calm in the middle of uncertainty. These are markers that something divine is unfolding quietly. Do not underestimate today simply because it lacks spectacle. The most profound shifts often happen in silence. The most powerful realignments happen in private. And by the time the visible results appear, the spiritual groundwork has already been laid. So as this day continues, remain attentive. Watch the small details. Honor the subtle impressions. Because hidden within this ordinary stretch of hours is a message designed specifically for you. And what you discern now may become the foundation for what unfolds next. There is something happening beneath the surface of this day that cannot be measured by what your eyes see. On March 29th, Archangel Michael speaks during moments that feel ordinary, but aren't, and part of that speaking is not through words alone, but through atmosphere. The spiritual climate around you is shifting. It may not shake buildings. It may not interrupt your schedule, but it is adjusting the unseen currents that influence your direction, your clarity, and your protection. Have you felt it? A subtle heaviness mixed with expectancy. A sense that something is concluding while something else quietly prepares to begin. Spiritual shifts often feel like this. Like standing between two seasons at once. One chapter loosening its grip, another forming just beyond sight. Archangel Michael is deeply active in these transitions. He is not only a defender in battle, he is a guardian of crossings, and March 29th carries the energy of a crossing. When destiny approaches, distractions increase. When clarity draws near, confusion tries to speak louder. You may have noticed small irritations today that seem disproportionate. Minor inconveniences that test your patience. Random thoughts attempting to pull you into doubt. These are not signs that something is wrong. They are often indicators that something significant is aligning. Resistance frequently rises at the edge of breakthrough. The spiritual atmosphere today is charged with preparation. That preparation may not look dramatic. It may appear as reflection, as reconsideration, as awareness. You may suddenly recognize patterns you tolerated before. You may feel prompted to release something you once clung to. You may sense the need to pray differently, think differently, respond differently. These impulses are not random mood shifts. They are evidence of adjustment in the unseen realm. Archangel Michael's role in moments like this is precise. He clears what you cannot see. He restrains what you do not know is advancing. He strengthens resolve where you feel uncertain. Even if you do not perceive a battle, it does not mean one is absent. Some conflicts are intercepted before they ever reach you. Some doors are closed before you even realize they were dangerous. Today, protection may be unfolding in ways you will only understand later. The emotional weight you might be sensing is not necessarily negative. It could be the pressure of transformation. Growth carries pressure. Alignment carries pressure. When your life is being repositioned, even subtly, there is movement. And movement in the spiritual realm influences the emotional realm. That quiet seriousness you feel today may be the awareness that something meaningful is at stake. Pause for a moment and reflect on how this day has felt compared to others. Has there been a reflective tone, a heightened sensitivity, an unusual desire for stillness? These are not random fluctuations. They are invitations to tune in rather than tune out. March 29th is not demanding dramatic action. It is inviting sacred attention. And here is what is vital. Do not misinterpret the shift as instability. It is not instability. It is recalibration. When a compass adjusts, it does not mean it is broken. It means it is aligning more accurately with true north. The spiritual atmosphere is recalibrating you. Old fears may surface briefly, not to remain but to be released. Old thoughts may attempt to return, not to control you but to reveal how much you have grown beyond them. Archangel Michael stands at the threshold of days like this. He guards the crossing for what was into what will be. And while everything around you may appear unchanged, the unseen framework supporting your future may already be under construction. This is why today requires awareness. Because when you recognize a shift, you cooperate with it instead of resisting it. There is something deeper still unfolding, and what comes next may confirm everything you have been sensing. Hold that awareness close as we continue, because the next layer of this message carries clarity you will not want to miss. Before we move further, receive this moment as sacred. If this message is speaking directly into your spirit, type "I receive the shift" in the comments as an act of alignment. Blessing code 316 is now activated over your life, a number symbolizing divine completion and love covering transition. Declare it, and let heaven witness your agreement. As this shift unfolds, I want to speak to those who feel called to help carry this message further. When you sow into this mission through Super Thanks, membership, or PayPal, through the link in the description or the PayPal QR code flashing on your screen, you are not supporting a platform. You are advancing a spiritual assignment. Scripture declares, "Give, and it shall be given unto you." And this is not distant history. This is God speaking into your present moment. Every seed you release becomes light, reaching someone standing in spiritual darkness. I feel led to say this plainly. I am inviting you to become a carrier of this fire. Do not hesitate when the Spirit prompts you. Respond as an act of obedience, not obligation. As you sow, may open heavens respond over your household, may protection surround your steps, and may provision meet you before need arises. Step into this moment boldly and release your seed now. On March 29th, Archangel Michael speaks during moments that feel ordinary, but aren't. To understand why this matters so deeply, you must understand a spiritual pattern that has repeated throughout generations. Heaven often chooses ordinary settings as the doorway for extraordinary shifts. What looks small on the outside can become a portal for divine interruption. What feels routine can suddenly become sacred ground. A portal is not always dramatic. It is simply a point of access, a place where one realm touches another. And many people miss these intersections because they expect them to look mystical or overwhelming. But divine strategy is subtle. The most powerful transformations often begin in unnoticed places. A quiet decision, a private surrender, a moment of awareness no one else sees. These are the doorways heaven prefers. Think about your own life. The conversations that changed your direction were not always planned. The opportunities that altered your path did not always arrive with warning. The realizations that matured you did not always come during celebration. They often came during reflection. Ordinary settings, extraordinary impact. This is how divine portals operate. March 29th may not look unusual. Your surroundings are familiar. Your responsibilities are unchanged. But what if today is not defined by its appearance but by its access? Access to clarity, access to release, access to confirmation. Archangel Michael stands guard at these invisible doorways. His role is not only to fight visible battles, but to ensure that when a spiritual opening appears, it is protected from interference. Why does heaven hide portals inside routine? Because routine tests attention. When everything feels dramatic, you pay attention automatically. But when everything feels normal, awareness becomes a choice. And spiritual maturity is often revealed in what you notice when nothing demands your attention. There is a quiet holiness in the present moment. The air you are breathing, the room you are in, the tasks you are performing. None of them look supernatural. Yet the supernatural does not always announce itself with spectacle. It integrates itself into your environment until a realization clicks, and suddenly you understand that something meaningful has just happened. Perhaps today you feel prompted to forgive someone quietly. A decision could become a portal to emotional freedom. Perhaps you feel led to decline an opportunity that once excited you. That restraint could become a portal to protection. Perhaps you feel a gentle urge to pray differently, think differently, or step back instead of pushing forward. That pause could become a portal to alignment. Divine portals are activated through response. They are not automatic, they are relational. Heaven initiates, but you cooperate. Archangel Michael's presence today is not about forcing movement. It is about guarding the threshold while you choose. When you sense something subtle, when you feel that quiet awareness rising, that is your invitation to step consciously rather than casually. There is also something else about portals. They often feel small in the moment, but reveal their magnitude later. You may not fully understand today's importance until weeks or months from now. You may look back and say, that was the day everything quietly shifted. But the shift will not have been loud. It will have been intentional. This is why reflection matters so deeply on March 29th. When you slow down internally, you widen your perception. You begin to see connections you would otherwise overlook. You notice patterns. You sense confirmations. You realize that what seemed random was actually arranged. Ordinary moments begin to glow with meaning when you understand they are carrying more than they appear to. Archangel Michael's guardianship over portals ensures that what is meant for you is not stolen by distraction. But distraction is still an option. Busyness is still an option. Ignoring the subtle nudge is still an option. The question is not whether a portal exists today. The question is whether you will recognize it. There may be a conversation later today that feels routine but carries hidden significance. There may be a thought that repeats until you finally take it seriously. There may be a feeling that asks you to reconsider your direction. Do not dismiss these as random mental activity. Divine portals rarely open with noise. They open with awareness. When heaven chooses an ordinary setting, it is not diminishing the moment, it is dignifying it. It is saying that your daily life is worthy of sacred encounter. That your kitchen, your office, your car, your quiet corner can become holy ground without warning. And March 29th carries that potential. On March 29th, Archangel Michael speaks during moments that feel ordinary, but aren't. And if today becomes a portal for you, it will not be because something external forced it. It will be because you paused, because you opened your heart, because you reflected with care. What seems like a simple day may be an access point into greater clarity, protection, and direction. So treat this day gently. Handle your choices thoughtfully. Listen to the quiet places inside you. Because when the ordinary becomes a doorway, stepping through it requires awareness. And the step you take in a moment that looks small may echo far beyond what you can currently see. On March 29th, Archangel Michael speaks during moments that feel ordinary, but aren't. And part of what makes this day spiritually significant is not only the whisper you are sensing, but the battle you cannot see. Not every conflict announces itself with visible chaos. Some battles are silent, strategic, hidden behind the veil of routine. And just because your environment appears calm does not mean there is no movement in the unseen realm. There are pressures you may be feeling today that seem subtle but persistent. A strange mental fog, a flicker of doubt that appears without clear reason, an emotional heaviness that does not match your circumstances. These are not always signs of weakness. Sometimes they are indicators of resistance. When a day carries spiritual meaning, opposition often attempts to cloud clarity before it fully forms. Archangel Michael is not passive in these moments. He is a defender assigned to guard destiny, timing, and purpose. But understand this clearly. Protection does not always mean you feel nothing. Sometimes protection means the full weight of what was meant to strike you never arrives. Sometimes it means the battle is intercepted before you even realize it was advancing. The absence of disaster does not mean there was no threat. It may mean there was divine intervention. On a day like March 29th, when alignment is quietly unfolding, resistance may appear in disguised forms. Distraction becomes louder. Negative thoughts attempt to replay old narratives. Fatigue tries to convince you to disengage. Small irritations escalate more quickly than usual. These are subtle tactics designed to shift your focus away from awareness. Because when you are aware, you are dangerous to the forces that prefer you distracted. You may question why you feel slightly unsettled today, why your mind keeps revisiting certain concerns, why you feel prompted to examine things more deeply. Consider the possibility that you are standing at the edge of spiritual repositioning. And repositioning always requires resistance to loosen its grip. The battle you cannot see is often about influence. Influence over your thoughts. Influence over your choices. influence over your perception of yourself. If doubt can be planted at the right moment, hesitation follows. If hesitation follows, opportunity can be delayed. This is why Archangel Michael's role as protector is so vital right now. He guards not only your safety, but your clarity. There are unseen negotiations happening over your next step, over the timing of events, over doors opening and doors closing. And while you may not perceive the movement, heaven is active. Protection is active. Intervention is active. What you interpret as coincidence may actually be deflection. What you interpret as delay may actually be shielding. Have you noticed that sometimes, when something important is about to shift, pressure increases? Not enough to overwhelm you, but enough to test your steadiness. This pressure is not proof of failure. It is often proof of proximity. You do not encounter resistance when you are standing still. Resistance intensifies when movement threatens old limitations. March 29th carries a subtle confrontation, not necessarily with external circumstances, but with internal patterns. Old fears may attempt to surface again. Old insecurities may whisper familiar lies, but their appearance does not mean they have regained control. It may mean they sense their time is ending. Archangel Michael stands in that tension. He stands between what tries to intimidate you and what is preparing to elevate you. His presence ensures that what is aligned with your purpose cannot be easily stolen. But you must participate by guarding your mind, by rejecting thoughts that do not align with truth, by refusing to rehearse narratives that diminish your identity. The battle you cannot see also involves protection from unseen traps. Not every opportunity that appears beneficial is safe. Not every conversation that seems harmless is neutral. There are moments when restraint is your shield, when silence is your defense, when walking away quietly is your victory. And today may contain one of those moments. If you feel prompted to pause before responding, honor that. If you feel led to reconsider a decision, respect that. These impressions may be subtle warnings designed to keep you aligned. Archangel Michael's protection does not always feel dramatic, but it is deliberate. It is also important to understand that unseen battles do not mean you are under threat in a catastrophic sense. They often mean you are under assignment. Assignment attracts attention. Growth attracts opposition. But opposition does not win when protection stands watch. You are not navigating this day alone. Even if you feel introspective, even if you feel the weight of decision, there is covering around you. There is strategy beyond what you perceive. There is defense positioned in places you cannot observe. On March 29th, Archangel Michael speaks during moments that feel ordinary, but aren't. And part of that message is reassurance. The battle surrounding this day is not yours to fight alone. You are being guarded in ways you cannot calculate, redirected in ways you may not immediately appreciate, strengthened in ways you may only recognize later. So when pressure rises slightly, do not panic. When doubt whispers briefly, do not agree with it. When distraction increases, become more intentional, because the very presence of soul resistance can confirm that something meaningful is unfolding. The battle you cannot see is not a sign to retreat. It is a sign to remain steady, to remain aware, to remain aligned. Protection is active. Destiny is guarded. And what is meant for you on this day cannot be easily overturned when heaven stands watch. On March 29th, Archangel Michael speaks during moments that feel ordinary, but aren't. But now this message becomes even more personal, because beyond the atmosphere, beyond the unseen battle, beyond the subtle shifts, there is something tailored specifically for you hidden inside this day. Not for the crowd, not for everyone at once. For you. Heaven does not only move in global patterns, it moves in personal precision. And what makes March 29th spiritually significant is not just that it carries weight, it is that it carries instruction. There is a message woven into your conversations, your thoughts, your reactions today that has your name on it. Perhaps it is a conversation that feels strangely timed. Someone says something simple, but it lingers in your spirit longer than expected. Perhaps it is a delay that frustrates you, but in that delay, something else becomes clear. Perhaps it is a sudden realization about your direction, your relationships, or your priorities. These are not random occurrences. They are personalized signals. Archangel Michael's involvement in your life is not distant or generic. His guardianship is detailed. And when he speaks during moments that feel ordinary, it is often because the instruction must blend naturally into your current season. If the message were dramatic, you might resist it. If it were overwhelming, you might fear it. So instead, it arrives wrapped in familiarity. What has been on your mind repeatedly today? What topic keeps resurfacing? What decision feels closer than it did yesterday? These are clues. Heaven often repeats themes before it confirms direction. Repetition is not coincidence, it is emphasis. You may have sensed recently that something in your life can no longer continue the same way. A habit, a mindset, a Ghanaian routine. And today, March 29th, may be the day that clarity sharpens around that awareness. Not through pressure, not through conviction, not through fear, but through understanding. The personal message hidden in today might be about release, letting go of something that once served a purpose but no longer aligns with where you are being led. Or it might be about courage, stepping towards something that has quietly intimidated you. Or it might be about trust, choosing to believe that what you cannot yet see is already being arranged. There is also a strong possibility that today carries confirmation. You have been praying, reflecting, wondering if you heard correctly. And now, in a subtle but undeniable way, confirmation is forming. It may not look like a sign in the sky. It may look like peace settling over a decision. It may look like repeated validation from different sources. It may look like an inner steadiness replacing confusion. Pay attention to your emotional responses today. Not every emotion is random. If you feel unusually calm about something that once caused anxiety, that is significant. If you feel unsettled about something you once felt confident about, that is also significant. Emotional shifts can signal spiritual clarity emerging. Archangel Michael often reinforces personal messages through alignment. Small details lining up, conversations echoing internal thoughts, opportunities appearing just as you considered change. These alignments are not accidents. They are orchestrated intersections designed to make the message unmistakable, if you are attentive. This day may also reveal what has been hidden in your own heart. Desires you buried, dreams you postponed, convictions you ignored. Sometimes the message is not about external events, it is about internal awakening. You realize you have outgrown something. You realize you are capable of more. You realize you are being invited higher. And here is the delicate part. The message may require response. Not immediate dramatic action, but internal agreement. Agreement that you will not shrink back. Agreement that you will not dismiss what you clearly perceive. Agreement that you will honor the nudge instead of silencing it. There is something sacred about recognizing that a day carries a personal whisper from heaven. It changes how you move through the remaining hours. It makes you slower to react impulsively. It makes you more intentional with your words. It makes you aware that what feels small could be spiritually decisive. On March 29th, Archangel Michael speaks during moments that feel ordinary, but aren't. And within those moments, your personal instruction is unfolding. It may be preparing you for a conversation tomorrow. It may be positioning you for an opportunity next week. It may be strengthening you for a challenge you do not yet see. Do not dismiss what you are sensing simply because it lacks drama. The most life-altering guidance often arrives gently, quietly, respectfully. It waits for your willingness rather than forcing your compliance. As this day continues, remain attentive to the themes emerging. Notice patterns. Notice confirmations. Notice shifts in how you feel about things that once felt settled. Because hidden within March 29th is not just a general spiritual movement. It is a personal alignment designed for you. And what you choose to acknowledge today may determine how clearly you walk into what is being prepared next. On March 29th, Archangel Michael speaks during moments that feel ordinary, but aren't. And now, more than anything, this message centers on one simple but powerful instruction: pause. Not because everything is falling apart, not because you are behind, not because you have failed, but because revelation requires space, and space is created when you choose stillness over speed. We live in a rhythm that rewards urgency. Respond quickly. Decide quickly. Move quickly. Fill every quiet second with noise, distraction, or productivity. But heaven does not always speak in urgency. Often it speaks in stillness. And if you do not slow down intentionally, you may move past the very clarity you have been praying for. A pause is not weakness. It is wisdom. It is the moment between impulse and action where discernment is allowed to breathe. When Archangel Michael speaks during ordinary moments, it is often within that pause, within the breath you take before responding, within the silence you choose instead of immediate reaction, within the hesitation that asks, is this aligned? March 29th may not require dramatic decisions from you. It may simply require attention. Attention to your thoughts before they become words. Attention to your emotions before they become reactions. Attention to subtle discomfort before it becomes regret. The pause creates a doorway where insight can enter. There is something sacred about resisting the pressure to rush. Rushing often feels productive, but it can also be a shield against reflection. When you pause, you confront what is really happening inside you. You notice motivations. You detect fear. You identify desire. And once these are visible, they can be guided instead of ignored. Archangel Michael's role in moments of pause is protective and clarifying. Protection sometimes comes in the form of delay. Clarity sometimes arrives in silence. What feels like nothing happening may actually be something rearranging. While you are still, unseen factors may be aligning in your favor. Think about how many missteps in life happen because of impatience. Words spoken too quickly. Decisions made too early. Commitments agreed to without reflection. The pause interrupts this pattern. It reclaims control from impulse and hands it back to intention. Today, March 29th, may present you with moments that test this discipline. A conversation that tempts you to respond emotionally. An opportunity that pressures you to decide immediately. A memory that tries to pull you back into old thinking. These are opportunities to practice sacred pause. The pause does not mean inactivity. It means alignment. It means asking quietly, what is the deeper layer here? It means allowing your spirit to settle before you choose your direction. It means trusting that not every door must be rushed through the moment it appears. Revelation often arrives softly. It may come as a subtle conviction, a quiet redirection, a gentle assurance that shifts your perspective. But if your internal pace is frantic, you may not perceive it. Stillness sharpens sensitivity. It heightens awareness of impressions you would otherwise overlook. There is also healing in the pause. When you slow down, you give yourself permission to process rather than suppress. You allow unresolved tension to surface and release. You give clarity time to crystallize instead of forcing premature answers. Archangel Michael speaks during transitions, and transitions require stabilization. The pause stabilizes you. It prevents you from carrying old momentum into new territory. It gives you the chance to shed what no longer fits before stepping forward. Perhaps today you feel the urge to withdraw slightly, not out of isolation, but out of reflection. Under that, perhaps you feel drawn to quiet prayer, quiet thought, or even a simple moment of deep breathing. Do not dismiss that impulse as laziness or distraction. It may be instruction. The world may not understand your pause. Others may continue rushing. But this day is not about matching external speed. It is about internal alignment. Because what unfolds next in your life will benefit from clarity gained in stillness. On March 29th, Archangel Michael speaks during moments that feel ordinary, but aren't. And often, his message becomes clearest when you resist the urge to fill every space with noise. The pause unlocks what pressure conceals. It reveals what haste hides. As this day continues, practice intentional slowing. Before answering, breathe. Before agreeing, reflect. Before reacting, observe. These small pauses may protect you from unnecessary conflict. They may guide you toward wiser choices. They may illuminate insights that change your trajectory. You are not falling behind by pausing. You are positioning yourself to move correctly. And correct movement is more powerful than rapid movement. To allow this day to stretch slightly. Allow silence to linger a moment longer. Allow reflection to deepen before conclusion. Because within the pause lies revelation. And revelation received today may shape decisions far beyond March 29th. On March 29th, Archangel Michael speaks during moments that feel ordinary, but aren't. And as you have paused, reflected, and become aware of the subtle shifts around you, there is something else you must consider. A door may have quietly opened today, not with noise, not with spectacle, but with quiet opportunity. And the danger is not that the door is locked. The danger is that it appears too ordinary to notice. Divine doors rarely swing open with dramatic announcements. More often, they appear as simple options. A new idea that feels persistent. A conversation that plants possibility. A realization that something you once tolerated no longer fits who you are becoming. These are doors, and they are easy to overlook because they do not always look like opportunity at first glance. Perhaps today you felt a subtle pull toward something different. A new direction. A new boundary. A new level of discipline. Or perhaps you felt clarity about walking away from something familiar. That clarity may be the door. Not the final destination, but the entrance. Archangel Michael's presence on March 29th is not only about protection and revelation. It is also about courage. Because when a door opens quietly, fear often tries to close it just as quietly. Fear whispers that you are imagining things, that it is too soon, that you are not ready, that it is safer to stay where you are. But what if this door is not about drastic change? What if it is about internal decision? A decision to think differently, to speak differently, to stop accepting what diminishes you, to start believing what strengthens you. Some of the most powerful doors are internal shifts that later produce external transformation. You may not even recognize the door until later tonight, when you replay your day in your mind. A moment that seems small begins to feel significant. A sentence someone spoke echoes again with new weight. A sudden sense of peace about a previously confusing situation becomes undeniable. That is often how doors reveal themselves, through reflection. There is also a possibility that the door involves reconciliation, a step toward healing a strained relationship, a willingness to forgive, a readiness to apologize. These doors require humility. They require strength that does not announce itself loudly. And yet, walking through them can change entire seasons of your life. Do not underestimate the simplicity of what is before you. Divine openings are often disguised as ordinary responsibilities handled differently. A new level of consistency, a new standard of integrity, a new boundary of respect. These shifts may not look dramatic to others, but spiritually, they are thresholds. Archangel Michael stands guard at these thresholds, not to force you through, but to ensure that if you choose to step forward, you are not unprotected. His presence reinforces courage. It strengthens resolve when doubt tries to re-enter. It shields your decision from interference once you align with it. There may also be resistance surrounding this door. Subtle distractions, second-guessing, external noise increasing at the exact moment clarity begins. This is not random. Resistance often confirms relevance. The more meaningful the door, the stronger the attempt to ignore it. Ask yourself quietly, what felt different today? What shifted inside you? What possibility felt closer than before? That may be the entrance, and stepping through it may not require public announcement. It may require private commitment. The door that quietly opened on March 29th may not fully reveal its impact immediately, but you will sense it. A steadiness, a forward goal, a gentle but persistent invitation to move beyond where you have been. And here is something crucial. What comes next may confirm everything you have been sensing. The next layer of this message will connect the door, the pause, the battle, and the shift into a clearer picture. You will be glad you remained attentive to this unfolding. Before we move forward, seal this moment intentionally. If you sense that a new door has opened for you today, type "I step forward" in the comments as a declaration of courage. Blessing code 842 is now activated, a number symbolizing new beginnings secured by divine protection. Speak it boldly and align yourself with what is opening. As this door opens, I feel led to speak to those who know they are not just listeners, but builders of this message. When you give through Super Thanks, membership, or PayPal, through the link in the description or the PayPal QR code on your screen, you are sowing into open doors for countless souls. The word declares that when you sow beside many waters, your harvest will not fail, and this is a living promise, not ancient history. Every seed becomes oil for the lamp that keeps this message burning across nations. I am inviting you to act in this very moment as a partner in this divine assignment. Do not delay obedience when your spirit is stirred. Respond with faith. As you give, may new doors open over your life. May provision meet you unexpectedly, and may protection stand at every threshold you cross. Step into this prophetic act now and release your seed. On March 29th, Archangel Michael speaks during moments that feel ordinary, but aren't. By now, you have sensed the shift in the atmosphere. You have recognized the unseen battle. You have paused long enough to discern. You have noticed the quiet door that opened. And now everything comes down to this, your response. Because revelation without response remains incomplete. Protection without cooperation remains underutilized. Opportunity without action remains potential. Heaven may initiate, but you participate. And what you choose in moments that feel small can determine outcomes far greater than you realize. Your response today does not have to be dramatic. It does not require a public announcement or a radical life overhaul. Often, it begins internally. Agreement. Alignment. A simple but firm decision that you will not ignore what you clearly perceive. That you will not shrink back into old patterns simply because they feel familiar. There is a powerful principle at work. Small obedience unlocks larger alignment. When you respond correctly to subtle guidance, you position yourself for clearer direction. When you honor quiet conviction, you strengthen your spiritual sensitivity. When you act in integrity even in unseen moments, you reinforce trust between you and the guidance you receive. But hesitation can quietly close what was meant to open. Not because the door disappears, but because doubt convinces you to stand still. Fear can disguise itself as logic. Procrastination can disguise itself as caution. And comfort can disguise itself as wisdom. That is why your response today matters. Ask yourself honestly, what have you sensed that requires action? Is it a boundary you need to establish? A habit you need to break? A conversation you need to initiate? A step of faith you need to take privately? The weight of this day rests in your willingness to move when prompted. You may feel tension between safety and growth, between familiarity and expansion. This tension is not a sign of confusion. It is a sign of transition. Growth always asks something from you. Alignment always requires adjustment. Archangel Michael's presence today has not been about forcing your hand. It has been about guarding the path while you decide. Protection surrounds you, but direction involves you. And when you respond with courage, protection moves with you. There is also a ripple effect connected to your response. What you choose today may influence tomorrow's clarity. It may affect relationships. It may impact opportunities. It may strengthen your confidence in hearing and discerning spiritual impressions in the future. One aligned decision reinforces the next. And let this be clear, ignoring the nudge does not always create disaster, but it can delay progress. Delayed obedience often leads to repeated lessons. Repeated lessons create unnecessary cycles, but immediate alignment accelerates growth. If this message has been speaking directly to your spirit, do not keep it silent. Engage with it. Like this video as a sign that you are choosing awareness over autopilot. Share it with someone who may also be standing at a quiet crossroads today. Comment your declaration of alignment, because when you put your agreement into words, it strengthens your commitment. And if you have not yet subscribed, do so now to stay connected to these prophetic moments when heaven is speaking softly but decisively. Your engagement is not just interaction, it is participation. There is something important about declaring your response. Words carry weight. When you speak agreement, you solidify intention. When you state your decision, you make it tangible. Silence can maintain hesitation, but declaration reinforces courage. Remember this. What feels like a small response today may prevent a large regret tomorrow. What feels like a quiet adjustment may produce visible transformation later. What feels like a minor shift may reposition your entire direction. You may not see immediate results, but alignment often works beneath the surface before it becomes visible. Seeds germinate underground before they break through soil, and the soil does not announce progress while roots are forming. Yet growth is happening. If you have sensed the door, if you have felt the shift, if you have recognized the battle and honored the pause, then this is your moment to respond with intention. Not emotionally, not impulsively, but deliberately. And understand this. What is about to unfold next will bring confirmation that your response today was not in vain. There is clarity forming just beyond this decision. There is reinforcement waiting on the other side of your agreement. The next revelation ties everything together in a way that will remove lingering doubt. On March 29th, Archangel Michael speaks during moments that feel ordinary, but aren't. And your response transforms this day from awareness into action, from potential into movement, from possibility into progress. Do not underestimate the power of choosing correctly in a moment that looks small, because heaven measures differently than the world does. And today, your alignment may echo further than you can currently see. On March 29th, Archangel Michael speaks during moments that feel ordinary, but aren't. And once you have chosen your response, once you have aligned internally and stepped forward with intention, the next thing you may begin to notice is confirmation. Out loud, overwhelming confirmation. Not something that forces belief, but subtle reinforcements that you are moving in harmony with what was unfolding beneath the surface all along. Confirmation is one of heaven's quiet mercies. It does not remove faith, but it strengthens it. It does not eliminate uncertainty entirely, but it reduces confusion enough for you to keep walking. And on a day marked by subtle shifts and quiet doors, confirmation often appears in equally subtle ways. One of the first signs to watch for is repetition. Repeating thoughts. Repeating words from different people. Repeating themes in conversations, messages, or reflections. When something surfaces once, it may be coincidence. When it surfaces again and again within a short span, it becomes emphasis. March 29th may carry a repeating phrase that settles into your awareness. Pay attention to it. That repetition is not random. It is reinforcement. Another confirmation sign is unexpected peace. You may have stepped towards something that previously made you anxious. Yet now, instead of turmoil, there is calm. Not because all variables are solved, but because internally, something has settled. Peace in the absence of complete answers is often a powerful indicator of alignment. It does not shout. It steadies. You may also experience clarity in areas that felt foggy before today. Questions that lingered for weeks may suddenly feel simpler. Decisions that seemed overwhelming may feel manageable. The shift may not be dramatic, but the heaviness lifts just enough for you to see the path ahead. That lightness is confirmation. External validation may also appear. A conversation later today may echo the exact conclusion you reached privately. A message may arrive that aligns with what you sensed during your pause. A resource, opportunity, or idea may surface unexpectedly but fit perfectly into the direction you feel drawn toward. These moments are not accidents. They are alignment signals. Be attentive to subtle protection as well. A canceled plan that once disappointed you may suddenly reveal its benefit. A delay may prevent an unnecessary complication. A closed door may expose a better option. Protection can confirm that you were being guided all along, even when you did not fully understand why. Here is also confirmation through resistance losing its strength. If doubt attempted to whisper earlier in the day, notice whether its voice has softened. If fear tried to close the door you sensed opening, observe whether its grip feels weaker now. When alignment decreases, opposition often decreases in influence. Not because challenges vanish, but because your confidence strengthens. You may even feel a renewed sense of spiritual sensitivity, as though your awareness has sharpened, as though you can distinguish between impulse and guidance more clearly. That increased discernment is itself confirmation that your pause and response were effective. But here is something important. Confirmation does not always come instantly. Sometimes it unfolds gradually throughout the day. A piece here, a detail there, a realization later tonight as you reflect. That is why continued attentiveness matters. Do not rush past the rest of this day assuming the most significant moment has already occurred. Sometimes confirmation is the final layer that ties everything together. March 29th is not about spectacle, it is about precision. And confirmation often mirrors that precision. It fits exactly where it needs to fit. It answers exactly what needed reassurance. It settles exactly what felt unsettled. You may also find that certain distractions that felt urgent earlier suddenly lose importance. What seemed pressing now appears trivial. What once felt confusing now feels clear. That shift in priority is confirmation that recalibration has taken place. There is a sacred rhythm to this day: awareness, pause, door, response, confirmation. Each step building upon the previous one. Each layer revealing a little more of what was hidden beneath the ordinary surface. On March 29th, Archangel Michael speaks during moments that feel ordinary, but aren't. And confirmation is often his quiet signature at the end of the message. It reassures without overwhelming. It strengthens without forcing. It reminds you that you were not imagining the shift. You were participating in it. As this day continues, keep watch. Not anxiously, not obsessively, but attentively. Notice the repeating theme, the unexpected calm, the aligning details, the subtle protection, the quiet clarity. Because confirmation is not just about validating today, it is about preparing you for what unfolds next. And what unfolds next will build upon the foundation laid in these ordinary-looking hours. Should I write Part 11? On March 29th, Archangel Michael speaks during moments that feel ordinary, but aren't. And now, as the day begins to settle and you look back over what you have sensed, chosen, and confirmed, a larger perspective begins to form. Because no single day stands alone. Every moment that carries spiritual weight is part of a broader story unfolding over time. Today is not isolated. It is connected. Connected to prayers you whispered weeks ago. Connected to struggles you endured in silence. Connected to decisions you made long before this date ever appeared on your calendar. What feels like a quiet spiritual adjustment today may actually be the continuation of a process that began long ago. There are days that plant seeds. There are days that water seeds. And there are days when the soil shifts beneath the surface, making room for growth you cannot yet see. March 29th may be one of those soil-shifting days. Nothing visible breaks through yet, but foundations are moving. When you view this day as part of a larger narrative, its subtlety makes sense. Not every chapter of your life needs dramatic headlines. Some chapters are transitional. They bridge one season to the next. They prepare your mindset before your circumstances change. They recalibrate your direction before visible movement begins. Archangel Michael's presence today is not merely about this single moment. It is about guarding the trajectory of your future. He does not only defend you from immediate threats, he protects the path you are walking toward. And sometimes, that protection requires internal adjustments before external results appear. You may look back months from now and recognize March 29th as a pivot point. Not because something explosive happened, but because something inside you shifted. Your perspective matured. Your courage strengthened. Your discernment sharpened. And from that internal shift, new outcomes naturally followed. The larger story of your life is not built only on major events. It is constructed through daily alignments, through small corrections, through moments of obedience no one else witnessed. Today may have been one of those quiet alignments that subtly reoriented you toward greater clarity. There is also meaning in what did not happen today, the conflict that did not escalate, the mistake you did not repeat, the opportunity you did not accept. Absence can be as significant as presence. Protection often expresses itself through what never materializes. In the larger story, March 29th may represent the closing of an internal chapter, a mindset you finally released, a fear you no longer entertained, a narrative about yourself that you chose to rewrite. These shifts do not always make noise, but they change outcomes. Consider how many pivotal days in history felt ordinary to those living them. They did not realize at the time that they were standing at a turning point. Only later did the significance become clear. Your life follows a similar pattern. You rarely recognize pivotal days while you are inside them. That ignition often comes with reflection. But the fact that you paused today, that you listened, responded, and watched for confirmation, means you have already elevated your awareness. You are not drifting through your story unconsciously. You are participating intentionally. The larger story also involves timing. Some doors cannot open until you are internally prepared to walk through them. Some blessings cannot sustain themselves until your character aligns with them. March 29th may have been about preparation more than manifestation. There is comfort in understanding that not every significant day must look extraordinary. Some days are sacred because of what they prevent. Others are sacred because of what they initiate quietly. And some are sacred because they mark a shift that only heaven fully sees at the moment. Archangel Michael stands at these unseen intersections in your timeline. He guards what you are becoming, not just what you currently see. He ensures that even subtle alignments are preserved against interference. When you consider the larger story, you realize that today's stillness was not emptiness. It was intention. It was positioning. It was recalibration. The absence of spectacle does not mean the absence of purpose. As this day closes, carry forward what you gain. The awareness, the courage, the clarity, the confirmation. These are not temporary impressions. They are building blocks in your ongoing narrative. On March 29th, Archangel Michael speaks during moments that feel ordinary, but aren't. And in the larger story of your life, this day may become a quiet landmark, a subtle but powerful point where direction sharpened, protection strengthened, and purpose moved one step closer to fulfillment. The full meaning may unfold gradually, but trust this, today has been woven into something greater than itself, and what comes next will carry the imprint of the alignment that occurred here. On March 29th, Archangel Michael speaks during moments that feel ordinary, but aren't. And now, as this message reaches its completion, what remains is not urgency, but assurance. Not pressure, but peace. Because if you have walked through this day with awareness, if you have paused, responded, and discerned, then you have already aligned yourself with what heaven intended. This day was never about spectacle. It was about sensitivity. It was about recognizing that divine movement does not always arrive wrapped in dramatic events. Sometimes it comes as a whisper, a nudge, a subtle shift in atmosphere, and those who are attentive inherit clarity that others overlook. You may not fully understand the weight of March 29th yet. You may not see immediate evidence of everything that has shifted. But spiritual alignment does not depend on instant visibility. Seeds planted beneath soil do not announce their growth. Yet growth is happening. Archangel Michael's presence over this day has been protective, precise, and purposeful. What you could not see was guarded. What you could not anticipate was intercepted. What you could not fully understand was guided gently into clarity. And even now, as this message concludes, protection does not withdraw. It continues. There is a divine assurance resting over you. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are not wandering aimlessly. Even in moments that feel ordinary, heaven is attentive to your steps. Even in days that look quiet, purpose is unfolding. If today revealed a door, it will remain available in alignment with your obedience. If today required a release, that release has already created space for something greater. If today brought confirmation, that confirmation will anchor you in days when doubt attempts to return. Do not measure this day by visible drama. Measure it by internal shift, by clarity gained, by fear confronted, by courage chosen. Those are the true markers of spiritual movement. And here is something powerful to remember. Divine timing is rarely loud. It is accurate. It aligns events, thoughts, and decisions in ways that only make sense later. March 29th may one day stand in your memory as the day something quietly changed. Perhaps not your surroundings, but your perspective. Not your circumstances, but your confidence. Not your schedule, but your sensitivity. Archangel Michael stands not only in moments of battle, but in moments of blessing. And blessing does not always look like increase. It often looks like alignment. It looks like peace where there once was confusion. It looks like courage where there once was hesitation. As you move forward from this day, carry this awareness with you. Ordinary moments are never truly ordinary when you are spiritually attentive. Conversations can carry guidance. Delays can carry protection. Silence can carry revelation. There will be other days like this, subtle, quiet, easily overlooked. But now you know how to recognize them. Now you know how to pause, how to listen, how to respond, and that awareness itself is a gift. Let peace settle over you now. Let any lingering uncertainty dissolve. Let gratitude replace doubt. You were guided today. You were protected today. You were positioned today. If this message has confirmed what you sense deep within, type "I trust the process" in the comments. Blessing code 911 is now activated, a number symbolizing divine protection and urgent heavenly response. As you declare trust, may covering surround you, clarity remain with you, and courage continue to guide you. As we close, I must speak to those who feel the fire of this message still burning within them. When you give through Super Thanks, membership, or PayPal, through the link in the description or the PayPal QR code appearing on your screen, you are not funding content. You are releasing living water into thirsty hearts across the world. The Lord declares that when you bring your offering, He opens the windows of heaven, and this promise is alive over you right now. Every seed you sow becomes light in someone's darkest hour, oil in someone's empty lamp, strength in someone's silent battle. I am calling you to act not out of obligation, but out of obedience to what you feel stirring within. Do not delay what heaven is prompting. Move as an instrument of provision. As you give, may abundance pursue you. May protection encircle your household, and may favor rest upon every step you take. Step forward now and release your seed with bold faith. On March 29th, Archangel Michael speaks during moments that feel ordinary, but aren't. And as this day concludes, know this with certainty. You were meant to hear this. You were meant to pause. You were meant to align. Carry the peace of this revelation with you. The ordinary will never look the same again. This day was not random. It was marked. And so are you.